special people that are willing to go to such a dangerous place and do what they do.
The fighting between Israel and Hamas intensifies, leaving people on the West Coast desperate to know whether their loved ones have made it out of Gaza. And today, an unprecedented order from Israel telling more than 1 million people to leave Gaza. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. At the same time, a former Hamas leader called today for, quote, a day of jihad. And that led to stepped up security around schools, places of worship, and community centers all across the West Coast. In Los Angeles, police are investigating at least one report of a threatening phone call made to a synagogue, the caller expressing support for Hamas. And in Gaza, there are fears the mass exodus of people will turn into a catastrophe. These are live images from Gaza, where the sounds of shelling have been heard in the distance throughout the day. Some in Gaza being ordered to evacuate don't have the means to leave, and doctors say they can't evacuate the sick and wounded from hospitals. One humanitarian aid worker in Gaza has lost contact with her family in Washington. Fox 13's Frank Thompson spoke with loved ones, desperate to know whether she's safe.
Immersed in the horrors of war, a moment of peace for Ramona Ukamura to celebrate her 71st birthday.
Happy birthday.
Ramona, a longtime Seattle resident, was supposed to return home October 10th, but has been stuck in Gaza as the deadly battle between Israel and the Hamas explodes.
We know that she is safe currently. We don't know what her food, water, fuel situation is.
Her nieces say they lost contact with Ramona overnight after she was rushed to a United Nations building near the Israeli border.
It's terrifying. It's extremely violent. The things that are taking place are unspeakable.
Ramona is a former lecturer in prosthetics at the University of Washington for nearly 30 years. Every year since her retirement, Ramona helps amputee children by volunteering with the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, reasons why she has been in Gaza since September 22nd.
She was sent there as an expert to train the prosthetics technicians in the area to help the local children. And really, her only mission in life has always been to help children regain the ability to play, regain the ability to walk, to use their arms, and that's why she's there.
Now her life's work and her life are caught in a war zone. Her relatives are calling on the U.S. government to ensure Ramona and humanitarians like her return home.
Help humanitarian aid workers. Help them come home, because they have families just like you and me, and they are angels. They are special people that are willing to go to such a dangerous place and do what they do.
Her family says the latest update from the volunteer group is the Israeli government will allow Ramona and a caravan of people to cross the border to safety, but they aren't aware of a schedule. As time is of the essence, they hope her journey to peace comes soon.
With the kind of recent fear that there will be a ground invasion, and the other millions of people that are there and also trying to evacuate, we are just sort of fearing the worst in terms of the pressure at the border and the risk of her being injured or worse.
And that was Fox 13's Frank Thompson reporting for us tonight. As people scramble to get out of Gaza, we are seeing more people from across the West Coast leaving for the Middle East to join the fight.
This is my opportunity to make sure that my kids, my family, my mom, my siblings that live out there have a safe home to be in.
Avi Landesman is among the reservists with the Israel Defense Forces who have been called up. Family members sent him off to Israel with hugs at LAX today. They say they're full of mixed emotions seeing him go.
I was very emotional about it, but I am very, very proud of what he's doing and why he's going. He's determined to protect our homeland.
We're all so proud of him, what he's doing for our nation, for our country, for our people, for the world. Israel is America's #1 ally in the Middle East. That's a huge thing for the whole world. And people like my brother-in-law Avi, who are going out there and leaving their families at a time like this, is extremely brave, and we're all so proud of him. 360,000
IDF reservists have been called up to join the war effort. Hamas's call for a day of jihad today prompted some schools to take precautions. In Las Vegas, 2 schools chose to cancel classes today, with administrators saying they were acting out of an abundance of caution. The Jewish Alderson School closed its campus and told families that Las Vegas police will continue to step up patrols near the campus. Innovation's International Charter School also shut down today. That school is located on the site of a former Jewish temple. Law enforcement agencies all across the West are on heightened alert today in response to concerns about potentially violent protests. In Los Angeles, the LAPD said it has no information on any credible threats, but it is continuing to assess the situation.
No specific credible threats regarding the Los Angeles area. We're in communication with the FBI and Department of Homeland Security.
Police and private security are also patrolling in the areas of around Los Angeles where 2 Jewish men were shot and wounded by a gunman as they left their synagogues earlier this year. And in the San Francisco Bay Area, some students at Stanford University say discussions about Israel and Hamas are making them fearful. KTVU's Ann Rubin reports one lecturer was put on leave because of a controversial lesson.
Stanford University. It's supposed to be a safe place for discourse, but students say when it comes to Israel and Gaza, it's anything but.
It was horrid. I mean, it's cruel, it's vicious what's going on campus.
There were anti-Israel banners on campus and chalk messages too. Jewish students countered them by putting up photos of Israeli captives.
This is helping. It's a little bit uplifting.
There was also the Stanford lecturer placed on leave this week after reports he separated Israeli and Jewish students from the rest of a class.
That is an experience that should not happen to anyone. No one should be identified as part of some group and made to be treated differently in front of peers.
University officials issued a statement saying Stanford stands unequivocally against hatred, adding that, quote, thoughtful, reasoned discussion of current issues is central to the life of the university. But students who have spoken out in support of the Palestinians say that's not what they're seeing.
The disappointing thing is seeing a lot of people trying to intimidate or scare or just really make people uncomfortable, especially on the Palestinian side.
Hamza El-Boujali says there have been threatening phone calls and messages, and that many of his friends fear that speaking out will affect their future.
They're putting it on a list, and they're going to say, oh, we send this out to employers so that you don't get hired.
Jewish students say they're afraid, too. Police are parked in front of the campus Hillel this week.
People are carrying around pepper spray. People are making sure that they're equipped. People are scared to leave. I mean, I was in my room until I came to this interview. So I'm afraid.
There is a candlelight vigil tonight in support of the Palestinians. There was a candlelight vigil for Israel earlier this week on the Stanford campus. Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
And for updates on the situation in the Middle East and reaction here in the West, head to westcoastwrap.com. Oakland-based healthcare giant Kaiser Permanente has reached a tentative deal with its labor unions. This agreement followed strikes by more than 75,000 healthcare workers in several West Coast states, including about 19,000 workers who went on strike in the Bay Area. The union walked off the job, citing unfair labor practices and staffing shortages. This agreement includes a 21% pay raise over 4 years, plus a new minimum wage for Kaiser workers starting at $25 an hour in California and $23 an hour in other states.
We have spent 6 months together building a platform to help create long-term staffing solutions. And we hope by rejoining a labor management partnership that both Kaiser Permanente and the unions will be able to successfully partner to rebuild their workforce and to create the long-term stability in careers that really are critical to delivering safe patient care.
Union members still must vote to ratify the agreement, and that voting is expected to start next Wednesday. Kaiser workers in the Seattle area are still threatening to strike tonight. They operate under a different contract. 99% of union members in that area have authorized a strike to begin as early as November 1st if a new contract is not agreed upon. They're calling for better pay, better staffing, and more support. The union represents around 3,000 workers. Swifties packing movie theaters tonight. Coming up on West Coast Wrap, see how they're celebrating the release of pop superstar Taylor Swift's concert film.
And the West Coast weather forecast is coming up. We're talking about some rain chances, also some very cold air and freeze warnings. We'll have more in your forecast coming up.
Also coming up, former President Trump suffers a setback. Tonight, the new ruling that could mean trouble for his campaign in Colorado. Also, find out what's piquing the interest of archaeologists around a Washington sewer project. Swifties are getting ready to shake it off tonight as Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour movie makes its theatrical debut. Many fans bought their tickets months ago to relive the concert or witness it for the first time. The concert covered 17 years of music and 10 studio albums that resulted in a 2-hour and 48-minute film. A lot of excited fans are ready to sing along and dance along to the movie that celebrates the enchanted love story between a singer and her fans. A Colorado state judge has rejected an effort by former President Trump to dismiss a lawsuit that would keep him off that state's primary ballot. The original lawsuit claims that adding Mr. Trump's name on the Colorado ballot would violate the 14th Amendment, which cites a provision that says people who have engaged in insurrection cannot hold office. Former President Trump countered, saying that free speech protections should dismiss the lawsuit. This trial to determine Trump's eligibility for the Colorado primary will now move forward. It's scheduled to begin on October 30th.
Falcon is supersonic.
Researchers from Arizona State University's School of Earth and Space Exploration are leading a NASA mission to explore an unusual distant asteroid made of metal. The NASA spacecraft was launched today from Kennedy Space Center in Florida aboard a powerful SpaceX Falcon rocket. It's traveling to an asteroid called Psyche. NASA wants to study its composition. Astronomers say they think it may be the exposed core of a developing planet. It's orbiting the sun between Mars and Jupiter. The 2.2 billion mile journey will take almost 6 years, and the probe is set to arrive at the asteroid in July of 2029. Well, you'll be able to see a unique solar eclipse in the daytime sky tomorrow. It's a phenomenon that won't happen in this part of the country again for a couple decades. Fox 11's Christy Fajardo has more tonight from Southern California as excitement builds for the Ring of Fire.
LA is known for stars, but on Saturday, it's the star above that will be turning heads. A partial or annular solar eclipse known as the Ring of Fire is expected to draw viewership Hollywood could only dream of.
It's a show, and as the show proceeds, the drama increases.
That's why the big draw on Saturday morning won't be this view, but the view of the eclipse at the Griffith Observatory. They're even hosting a viewing party, complete with eclipse-approved glasses that will protect your eyes when gazing at the sun. There's also a ceremony to chase away the dragon mythology in Central Asia says is gobbling up the star as the moon blots out the sun and dims our skies.
A bite will appear to be taken out of the sun, and at maximum eclipse, that's about 70% of the disk. If you think about the width of the disk, it's about 78% of that diameter.
But in prime places like Oregon and slivers throughout the Americas, the moon will block out more of the sun, showing only a ring. Erin Zane and her family are visiting from Portland, but still have eclipse viewing on their sites to see.
We just bought our glasses and we're really excited, but we knew that in Oregon we would be able to see it better.
Glasses are a must, but there are other safe ways to view the partial eclipse. Maybe you even learned about them in school.
To look at the puddles and see the reflection of the sun so that we weren't looking directly at it, and watch the eclipse through the reflection in the puddles.
And you could see it?
I don't remember.
But the Ring of Fire promises to be just as memorable as a photo in front of the Hollywood sign.
It's amazing to be here.
And that was Fox 11's Christy Fajardo reporting for us tonight. The eclipse isn't the only thing expected to get people up and outside early tomorrow morning. Hikers along trails near Flagstaff, Arizona will see fall on full display there. Leaves changing colors on the San Francisco Peaks mountain range are creating postcard-like scenes. This region's fall foliage usually peaks around the end of October. For more on what we can expect as we head toward the weekend, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking conditions all across the West. A beautiful scene there in northern Arizona. Mark, is this going to be a good weekend to get outdoors?
I think so, Alex. Just I guess it depends on your location, right? We're talking about some rain for portions of the West Coast up in the Pacific Northwest, and kind of a cold chill out toward portions of Colorado right around Denver. You have been hearing about the eclipse, and that will be happening, as you can see, tomorrow morning. So Saturday morning, where the sun, the moon, and the earth all in alignment, and some portions of the West Coast will be getting that annular eclipse. As you can see here, that is the path on this map here. Portions of California not in that path here, but portions of Oregon will be in that path. So it's going to be like that ring of fire that you have been hearing about, the kind of that neat scene there. But still, the partial will be showing up, except if you're under the cloud cover, it might be tough to see. So here is the forecast model showing you the cloud pattern tomorrow morning. Definitely some tough viewing up in the Pacific Northwest, unfortunately, because they will have some clouds and possibly some rain showers, even up in Northern California. Better viewing in Southern California, out toward portions of Nevada, out toward portions of Utah and Arizona. So as you can see to the south, improving conditions, but unfortunately, some cloud cover up in the north could complicate things, especially up in the Pacific Northwest. And as you can see on this forecast map here, that's all linked up. The cloud cover is linked up with some rain moving into Seattle and Portland. This was the scene today up in Seattle. Temperatures in the lower 70s with still lots of clouds, and the rainfall back in the picture as we head into the weekend. In San Francisco, looking out toward the Bay, we started out with overall fair skies, but the clouds definitely moving into San Francisco and the portions of the Bay Area all afternoon. High today in San Francisco in the upper 60s, and still some beach weather in Southern California. Los Angeles, topping out 80 degrees with mostly sunny skies. So here's the overall weather story. That front comes on board up in the Pacific Northwest. Rain likely, temperatures in the 60s. We are talking about some freeze warnings out toward portions of Colorado tomorrow morning. But temperatures still in the 50s for the afternoon. 70s for portions of Southern California, and still talking about some 90s, even approaching triple digits for Phoenix into the weekend. Here's a satellite and the radar. Once again, the main action is focused up to the north. Lots of clear skies to the south. The radar coverage definitely picking up in Northern California. Current numbers, as you can see, the reports here for Eureka, 55 degrees. Las Vegas checking in 73. Some 60s for L.A. and San Diego. Looks like Denver has already cooled off to 37 degrees. So that's where you have the chill. That's where you have the freeze warnings posted for portions of Colorado. But out toward Denver should be a nice recovery into the afternoon hours. And up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, lots of rain for your Saturday. San Francisco, temperatures close to 70 degrees, and lots of sunshine to the south for Southern California, Los Angeles, and even back up into the triple digits for Phoenix. So, Alex, can't get rid of the heat just yet in Phoenix. We are in fall, and they're still talking about 101 degrees by Sunday.
Yeah, the heat just lingering there.
Absolutely.
All right, Mark, thank you. Tonight, we are hearing desperate calls to 911 from people living on Maui as that deadly wildfire closed in on the historic town of Lahaina.
Please, can you please send someone to my mom's house? I have 10 babies over there. What is the address, ma'am? What is the address? 911 emergency. How can I help you? My mom and my baby are still up on Lahaina Luna Road. Who? My mom and my baby. Okay, how can I help you?
Traffic is completely stuck and people are going to die here if you don't make sure that that intersection is going to flow.
Maui County released 2 hours worth of audio as part of a public records request by the Associated Press. More than 4,500 calls came in from people trapped in their homes or cars surrounded by flames. At least 98 people were killed in the fire that started on August 8th. More than 2,000 homes and other buildings were destroyed. California has been selected as one of just 7 national clean hydrogen hubs. The U.S. Department of Energy made that announcement today. California's Alliance for Renewable Clean Hydrogen Energy Systems, or ARCHES, will receive up to $1.2 billion from the Department of Energy. That will be used to accelerate the development and deployment of clean, renewable hydrogen.
This is a great day for the state of California. ARCHES will move the needle on alternative energy in California. It will help California develop a local, sustainable, renewable energy source. It will reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, clean up our air, especially in our most impacted communities.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says being a hydrogen hub will help to create an estimated 220,000 green jobs and accelerate the state's progress towards carbon neutrality. Coming up tonight, a discovery in Washington stops work at one construction site. We'll tell you how digging in that area has revealed a piece of history. And as we head toward Halloween, the spots here on the West Coast that are some of the country's most haunted. This Sunday, the Bellagio Resort and Casino in Las Vegas will celebrate its 25th anniversary. And to commemorate the milestone, the Clark County Commissioners have proclaimed Sunday, October 15th, the official Bellagio Resort and Casino Day. Since that resort opened in 1998, more than 1,000 of the employees out of the 6,000 working on opening day remain employed by the Bellagio. Work crews digging near the Washington-Oregon state line have put their project on hold after unearthing a piece of history. Fox 12's Carly Olson shows us what they found.
On the corner of Washington and 5th.
It was actually right where the sewer line needed to go, so they just ran right into it.
An archaeology expedition wasn't exactly what this construction crew had in mind as they worked to add a sewer line for a new apartment complex in Vancouver.
They encountered what we call a cistern, which is something that was used back around the turn of the century to store water underground.
When they first found it, the cistern looked like this, made of the red brick that was often used in the city at the turn of the 19th century and potentially connected to one of the old breweries in the area. And it wasn't exactly a surprise.
We find this kinds of stuff pretty much anytime we start digging very deep in these roads. There's just a lot of old infrastructure underneath these roads, and not much of it was all that well documented because, again, it was back, 100 years ago at least.
When that happens, state archaeologists are called to put together a review of the item, and in this case, that'll put off construction by another couple of weeks. Even so, the cistern has already been partially excavated.
Once they've worked through the process, they've gotten sign-off from the state, then they can continue on with the project. They'll finish getting the sewer line put in, get that all covered up, and we can get our road opened up again.
Vancouver was founded in 1825 and incorporated in 1857, and though the city has only grown up and out, you might have to look down to find some of its best-kept secrets.
We're actually working on a project right now. They'll start next year to redo Main Street from 5th up to 15th. I fully expect we're going to find some interesting items when we start digging.
And that was Fox 12's Carly Olson reporting for us tonight. Some other finds unearthed during similar digs include old trolley tracks as well as a paper mill. All right, Halloween just a few weeks away, and we are well into spooky season. And there are a couple of spots here in the West with a whole lot of reports of paranormal activity. Condé Nast Traveler came up with a list of 32 of the most haunted locations in the U.S. That list includes California's Winchester Mystery House in San Jose. It's reported as one of the most disturbing construction projects in history, with Sarah Winchester designing the home to keep vengeful spirits away. Also on that list, the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. That property inspired Stephen King's fictional Overlook Hotel from the movie The Shining. Thanks so much for watching West Coast Wrap tonight. Have a great rest of your night.
Now at 7:30, another Bay Area store hit by thieves. More of this brazen daytime theft. And a major development in the case of 2 children who drowned in a pool at a South Bay daycare.
This is KTVU Fox 2 News at 7:30.
And thanks so much for joining me on this Friday night. I'm Heather Holmes. The owners of that daycare in San Jose have now been arrested. Our South Bay reporter Jesse Gary explains the charges and what happens next.
Friday, Nina Fatizadeh and her mother, Shaheen, turned themselves in to San Jose police. The pair faces charges for child neglect that resulted in 2 girls drowning and a little boy being injured October 2nd in a pool in the backyard of the Happy Happy Daycare in the 1000 block of Fleetwood Avenue in South San Jose. One neighbor, who wants to conceal his identity, says he's shocked by what's happened.
It's horrific. Yeah, it's terrible. I don't think any parent would want to have to deal with that or live through that, so it's tragic.
Investigators say Nina was left alone with as many as 4 children as her mom, Shaheen, went to a doctor's appointment. A child care provider who also worked at the daycare was also not at work that day. A fence gate around the pool had been propped open the night before by Shaheen's husband. No one checked them next morning when children were dropped off around 8 o'clock.
It was a very busy daycare. They had customers every day. I'd see people coming and dropping their kids off.
Nina sent 3 young ones to the backyard while she was in the kitchen with no direct line of sight on the kids. One 2.5-year-old boy and 2 girls, younger than 2, were found floating in the pool. Nina was able to